We're Going to College documentary series is a part of our 5-year Jobs of the Future initiative. It was created to bring awareness to barriers facing students entering college and to determine possible solutions.
In phase 1 of our documentary series, we discussed the importance of early career planning.
We determined that the first step in prepping children for the future is to assess their hobbies, skills, strengths, and weaknesses at the elementary school age.
Besides utilizing assessment tools to help determine career options for your child, it's also important to plan academically, financially, and to keep an open mind to the best educational path based on your child's needs.
In Phase 2, we will discuss additional barriers to college, such as financial, academic, and focus on alternatives to college.
Lack of a strong educational background can make higher learning difficult. A report on highereducation.org states, every year in the United States, nearly 60% of first-year college students discover that, despite being fully eligible to attend college, they are not ready for post-secondary studies.
If your child is struggling, if you have a struggling child who's below level in either reading or math, it affects all the other subjects, especially the reading. If I know that my child is reading a book, say a grade or 2 below, those are the books I want to start with as a benchmark point. So I'm going to buy you some more books to gradually raise your reading level, or go to the library especially, because the librarians know what the reading levels are.
Read, whether you're reading a tablet or you're reading the newspaper, books. It's important that your home reflects a belief in continuous learning, for the love of reading, the joy of expanding your mind. Even TV, making sure that you're not just watching some of all the fun stuff. What about some of the Discover channels and the other mind-enhancing opportunities?
But if you have a child who's struggling and only give them the grade level that they're struggling on, you're going to have a lot of frustration because they're not going to be successful. They're never going to feel success. And eventually, as human nature, when we're not successful on something, that's the last thing we want to do. If I don't know how to write well, I don't want to write. If I don't know how to read well, I don't want to read. But if I'm successful at reading at some level, and I'm being praised at that level, and I can see myself graduate, then you get the book at the next level.
It's imperative that parents understand that it's not just up to the schools to teach your children, but learning is eternal. At
home, there's so much parents could do by providing them with the on-level material to help them get above level.
The most successful and empowering thing to do is to do homework with your child while he or she's doing your homework. Come on, let's go to the table for a second, like we're doing our math homework. Come on. Like we're doing our math homework. Because immediately, what I'm going to do is say, can you show me how to do this new math? Because this is new math. I haven't done this in 100 years. But do that homework with them, read with them.
There's so many resources now. There are resources online. The initial resource should be to the school and to the teacher. I don't understand how to do this math homework with my child. What could I do? There are online programs now that comes with math, that comes with the reading, that even if you're struggling at home, there are components within the program where you can go online for tutoring. Like Khan's Academy, that helps with math a lot. There are reading programs, A to Z reading. There's a Starfall if children are really struggling with sight words. Always come into the school and ask for help, because that's what we're here for. I'm very happy that when someone comes and says, Ms. Hughley, I don't understand, oh, this is what you could do. This is what we can help you do. So in this school, we're very open to anyone who's asking for help.
Funding the cost of college is another major issue facing many students and parents. Americans owe nearly $1.3 trillion in student loan debt, spread out among about 43 million borrowers. In fact, the average class of 2016 graduate has $37,172 in student loan debt, up 6% from last year.
Our dropout crisis doesn't get discussed a great deal outside of education circles, but it should, since the issue is directly tied to other problems the public rightly obsesses over, like rising tuition and student debt.
Many students will start school their freshman year and find that they cannot return for the subsequent year because they simply cannot pay for it. They don't have enough money to pay for it. Or they will start at one school for their freshman year, and because they don't have the funds to remain there, find themselves having to transfer somewhere else. So yes, tuition costs can be a major barrier to a student getting through school.
They unfortunately put a price on their education, and there are students who will say, I will work this semester as opposed to taking out a student loan. I'm pretty much against that notion. Take out a student loan, get it done. Get your education under your belt. You know why? Because you buy a car, you buy a fancy ring or a PlayStation or Xbox or some other equipment, unless the equipment like a camera equipment is making you money. You buy certain things that depreciate as soon as you take it out the wrapper. Your education you will always appreciate.
Encourage family members that instead of maybe one birthday or Christmas or some other time of the year, instead of paying for that video game, they could take that money and put it into a college savings fund.
Subconsciously, knowing that you're building that trust fund, you're also going to be encouraging her or him academically, so that they may not even need it because they have scholarship money.
There are a number of the 529 college savings programs are great. They are really, really good because they don't require a lot of money to start. You can start with as little as $10 to $20. We are very fortunate here in New York to have access to the Foundation Center. The Foundation Center houses information and has databases on hundreds of thousands of dollars that students can research and find to help assist them with college expenses.
So, and oftentimes there are various opportunities if you're going to work in public sector as an attorney, as a doctor, as a nurse, as a teacher, where you can get your student loan forgiven. And even if you don't, it's worth it. Stop allowing finances to be a barrier.
There are even some scholarships that students can apply to when they're in 7th or 8th grade. And if they receive it, that money will be banked until they leave for school. But again, it's research. Looking for scholarships is a job. But understand, even if you do not receive a full scholarship, that should not deter you from your dream of going to college. So just start this process early, become as knowledgeable as you can about the process, and move forward.
New York State's Excelsior Scholarship is the first state scholarship in the nation to offer a tuition-free college plan for middle-class families.
The program covers families and individuals making up to $125,000 through a supplemental aid program.
Students must be enrolled at a SUNY or CUNY full-time.
For more information, visit www.hes.ny.gov/pay-for-college.
Over the tenure of our operation, we've observed many young adults having difficulty deciding on what career to pursue. Some young adults haven't discovered a career field that they are passionate about. Others aren't happy with the career path they elected.
These individuals needed additional time to explore what interests them. However, the traditional career track is to continue on to college after graduating high school.
Pressure from family members and peers push students to enroll in college within a limited time constraint.
This results in them picking a major without full examination of how well it correlates with their passions, interests, and skill set.
The workload from high school, it made me a little bit lazier because I just was so used to not doing it that I didn't do it. I didn't do any homework until the end of the school years. And then I would barely pass, and I just got used to that. And I knew that I wasn't college ready.
High school really wasn't that great for me. I mean, I wasn't really motivated to do nothing because after sophomore year, I got kicked off the basketball team, so I was what's the point of doing schoolwork? I just kind of lost my motivation to do work, so my grades started slipping. I was struggling.
One of the main reasons why I disliked high school was Common Core. I hated Common Core. And I used to live in Trinidad, and they would give you a problem. You could figure out any way you want to figure it out. As long as the answer's correct, that's all that mattered. In Common Core, you have to do it a certain way, or else it's wrong.
For those students that are really struggling, this sort of at-risk youth, and I'm not just talking about those students at the high school level, even earlier at the middle school level and potentially even at the elementary school level. These are the students that we really have to pay more attention to across the entirety of the educational system, and not just here at the community college level, because oftentimes when these students struggle through, and even if they are able to somehow obtain that high school diploma, they really come to a college setting with a tremendous disadvantage. And these are the students that are more likely to be dropping out of college and more likely not to be able to finish with college.
A November 2014 report by Complete College America concluded that most students at public universities don't graduate on time. Only 36% of students graduate on time at flagship research public universities, and only 19% at non-flagship public universities.
Students who aren't sure what career path to follow deserve time to investigate what career suits them through traveling, researching, volunteering, internships, apprenticeships, and career fairs.
Investigating the right career path takes time, but young adults still need to be employed in the interim.
As the economy continues to rise, it's important that young adults have excellent employment opportunities that can support them until they decide on a career.
They need immediate professional development that will offer them workforce-ready skills, which allows them to be very competitive when searching for employment.
Rushing to enroll in college because of peer pressure, college being the norm, or working at an undesirable job is not the only option for a young adult.
Trade schools or vocational colleges are additional routes to success that are overlooked or infrequently discussed.
The reasons that people would go for training that does not lead to a degree, it varies quite a bit. And it's not always a sad story or an unfortunate story. It's really very often a proactive choice by people.
What made me choose trade school was that I felt college really wasn't for me, because I thought it was going to be high school all over again. So I wanted to go to trade school where I felt it was going to be more hands-on.
For those that don't necessarily think that they would want to pursue a college degree right away, and we respect the fact that it is not for every high school student coming out of high school. Within continuing education, within our division, we do offer a number of courses that are aligned with skills and competencies that are currently in demand.
These alternatives to college provide room for young adults to continue exploring career options while acquiring marketable skills and hands-on experience.
The benefits are really that you have an opportunity at a fairly low cost, relatively speaking, to start a new life, start a new career.
I did see the benefits in trade school, like the IT program. It was a recession-proof job because we're coming into an age of computers.
Our program, they give you job placement. So you graduate and then they find you a job. You have a resume that you have to send to them so you can send it to the job.
They got a job right away. They give you internships at the program. A part of like your years there, it was mandatory for you to get an internship. So they're pushing you on the right track already.
They teach you basically everything. They give you a 2-year experience in 8 months.
What about that possibility of being a non-traditional student who can return to the school environment, return to the college campus, change your career, do that in the manner of a semester or half of a year or 3/4 of a year or even just a few weeks?
We also have scholarships for those that do qualify based on income and need. These are classes that support professional development types of aspirations that allow someone to really be able to break into a new field or a new career that they might have been thinking about for a little while, but they might sort of not necessarily want to commit to right away. They want to test the waters.
So I think the benefits are innumerable. They're sort of unquantifiable because some of it is economic. That's our role here, to engage in economic development. and workforce development, but it's also personal. It can even be spiritual. When you find that thing that you connect with that gives you purpose and satisfies many of the needs in your life, that's beyond economic, that's beyond personal. So I think, again, the benefits are many.
These institutions allow high school students and adults continuing their education to explore career options while acquiring marketable skills.
Training and certification obtained in as little time as 6 months support students in finding employment, even in highly competitive industries.
For the healthcare industry, for example, we offer certification classes for someone to become a phlebotomy technician, or an EKG technician, or medical assistant, or a patient care technician, or a hemodialysis technicians. You know, these are the types of career tracks that require high school diploma. They do not require a college degree.
We have people coming in for the health professions, everything from pharmacy technician to nursing assistant to medical assistant. Those are people who help assist the medical practitioners. Obviously, the nursing assistant assists nurses, medical assistants assist physicians. They work in nursing homes, they work in hospitals, they work in private practices.
Work trade is exclusively electrician or plumbing. As an electrician, you start off, when you graduate, you start off as a helper, and then gradually you work your way up. To be a master electrician, you need 7 years of school, but my school knocks off 2 years, so I only have to do it in 5 to get my license.
A lot of our trainings lead to state and national certifications, which for a lot of people or a lot of employers is the equivalent to a degree.
They had like a nursing class there too. They had IT, that's what it was called, IT. They had IT. Those are 2 classes that I had in like my class period that I was there. And they offered, it was like a lot more classes than I thought it was. They had computer programming, they had security.
On the business side, we have certifications as web developers, Java web developers, IT security, project management. People are also if you like to work outside, work with your hands, we have a certification for someone who's interested in construction. That certification is provided by the city.
They are business related, it could be finance, it could be accounting, and these are really good options because you know, a lot of these skill sets cut across many different industries. So be it in a hospital, be it in a bank, be it in retail, there's always needs for someone who's going to be able to do accounting, bookkeeping, something practical of nature.
We're launching several new ones, but one of them involves being a certified alcohol and substance abuse counselor. That's a really compelling career.
So that ensemble of skill set is something that is increasingly valuable for the high school student to be coming out of their educational pathway with. Critical thinking, communication skills, these are the kinds of areas that a lot of these students have been thinking about and will be gravitating towards.
Now that I found something that I'm passionate about, my grades, straight A's. Like, when you find something you're passionate about and you really want to do it, you're going to do better in school. And that's honestly what happened to me. I was going from 70s to all 90s and 100s.
Challenge yourself, because when you do that, that is when you put yourself in situations that might not necessarily be where you're comfortable, but are not inappropriate, of course, then you find out kind of not just what you're made of, but what you're interested in.
My recommendation to these students who are having some difficulty deciding on a career is don't put too much undue pressure on yourself. Take your time, get to learn about yourself, what would be of most interest to you based on what you think you're talented in. I would say seek out your high school counselor to maybe get some advice. Seek out your teachers to also get some additional advice as to perhaps what type of careers may be suitable. Because after all, your high school counselor and your high school teachers are the ones that probably have a wider perspective for what they have observed in terms of what you have brought into the classroom.
Sometimes as young people, we have feelings that aren't necessarily ours. They are feelings that come from things that we're told, things that our parents, our elders, our teachers, whomever in our community, our faith leaders, tell us that we should do. And those are important people to listen to, but probably the most important person to listen to is self.
The class before, when I just graduated, one of the students actually, I think, landed a job, MTA, doing like the railroads and stuff like that, the pipes in there. It's a pretty good job, it's like $30 an hour. And starting off, that's pretty good. So that's my plan, to be a master electrician, have my own business at a certain age. I'm kind of still young.
Vocational or alternatives to traditional trainings in college are really important today because so many of us, so many members of our community have walked different paths.
It is important in the sense that the alternative programs to the sort of the more traditional college tracks offers that student with sort of a bit of a breathing room to really maybe find their way around, sort of getting to know themselves a little bit more. We've talked a little bit about sort of the context of how some of these students may be coming out of high school. But even for someone who's mid-career, you know, they may be faced with a bit of a crossroad. But before they really commit to one of those pathways, they may want to sort of try out what it's like to be working in the tech industry. Really just to see if they really like it and if they really want to commit their time. And there's nothing worse than for someone who engages themselves in a 2 to 4 year program and then finding out that this is really not for them, because really backing out of it, you know, has cost them whatever that upfront time that they've already committed towards pursuit of that degree. So I think we at Continue Education do offer that program, those programs that give the flexibility for the students, you know, as an alternative to the more traditional college pathway.
Although there are several barriers to college, planning early can help you climb over the hurdles. Assessing interest and skill at the elementary age will support you in guiding your child to a career choice they are passionate about that fits their skill set.
Working with your child's school will ensure they have a strong educational background. Studying and reinforcing their learning at home is critical to your child acquiring a strong educational background.
A head start on financial planning will give you and your child economic confidence when deciding on a college.
When the barriers are too challenging, Alternatives to College provides the next option for career planning after high school.
Trade schools offer professional development and hands-on training that prepares students for the workforce. Trade schools allow students to continue exploring career options while acquiring marketable skills that aid them in their job search.
Trade schools are completed in a short period of time and are less expensive than 4-year college tuition.
Whether you are on your way to college or trade school, early planning and assessments are the keys to unlocking a successful career.
That we all have different paths, and what I mentioned earlier is that students come to us from many different places under very different circumstances. And so the most important thing is to provide a pathway for people. It's not about saying the only way to obtain training and education is this way. It is come to us the way you are, wherever you might be, and we'll find services and solutions to meet that situation and help move you forward.
Thinking big for our children drives program development in understanding that the elementary years are impressionable and children at this point in their life can be directed to accomplish anything.